Oh, we had a really good second day of the draft. Acquired Jahlani Tavai from Hawaii. Really versatile player, 4-year starter, 2-time captain, very versatile linebacker. Play the run, can rush, can blitz, can cover. Really a very unique player. When we started evaluating him during the season, actually going back to last spring, very unique with his body type, his playing strength, his ability to, like I said, rush, cover, play the run, throw special teams in there as well. So it was a guy that, just because he plays in Hawaii, he's probably off the radar a tiny bit, but not for our scouts. It's a pretty interesting process with scouting the guys from Hawaii, because you would think like the West Coast area scout gets to get on a plane and go to Hawaii for the week. It's really not how it happens. Hawaii actually, obviously they play the majority of their games stateside, so they come over for a week. Sometimes if they have back-to-back games, and occasionally stay over. So our scouts get access to their players and their staff at games or the days leading up to the game, because I think they usually travel on Thursdays, if I remember correctly. So it's a little bit of a different process than going to, say, Alabama or Stanford, just with the proximity. So really good player, really excited he was there. There was a lot of interest in him, I think, in and around our pick that we kind of held on there for about 4 or 5 picks, not knowing if he was going to be there. So felt good about that. Had a really good visit with him. He came in about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Had a thorough visit with him here. He was kind of a late pro day guy. He was coming back from an injury, so he did a late pro day. Was invited to the Senior Bowl. Couldn't play in it because of the injury. Didn't do much at the combine, so everything was kind of later in the process. So that's why we brought him in here. So felt really good about him. And then we made a pretty good trade, I thought, to move up a couple of spots to secure Will Harris from BC. 3-year starter, team captain, versatile guy, playing strength, speed. Senior Bowl was he's probably one of the better players at the Senior Bowl, I'd say, overall, in terms of practice setting, game setting. Had a really good week down there. Obviously, I'm from that neck of the woods, so I went up and saw Boston College practice this year, saw them playing a game, have a lot of really good, long-time professional colleagues on that staff. And then Coach Pasqualoni obviously is here too, so that kind of helped with that process. But felt really good about those 2 picks, and then we'll dive in tomorrow, kind of reset the board here tonight, get an early start tomorrow morning, and I think we have 5 picks remaining. Is that correct? Right, 5 picks. So with that, I'll open it up.
Tavai.
Yeah.
Obviously, these things will sort themselves out on the field, but just given some of your interest in the linebackers and where he played in the middle,
Sure.
Do you see some versatility and ability to maybe move around Jared Davis compared to what he's done
Sure.
previously?
Yeah, absolutely. I think JD obviously, you put Jahlani in there with JD and Christian and Kennard. We got a lot of guys that can do a lot of different stuff. I mean, you go back to Devon Kennard, when we were looking at him in free agency, like he played Mike linebacker for the Giants about 1/3 of the snaps back in 2017. So we got a lot of guys there that can do a lot of different things. So I think you got a guy like Jahlani to the mix that can, you see him on film play on the edge, you see him set the edge, you see him rush the passer, and then 2 snaps later he's playing Mike bubble linebacker coming downhill and smashing the guard. So there's guys that can do that. A lot of guys in the draft, I'd say every year there's a very select few guys that you actually see them do it on film. You're projecting, well, this guy plays on the edge, but we project that he can play Mike and come downhill. This guy actually, there's visual evidence that you see him do that on really a game-by-game basis. So did I answer good? Well enough?
In projections, for what it's worth, Tavai wasn't projected very high. In a situation like that, do you just have to go with your gut instinct, or do you try to weigh if other people aren't on it, maybe you can trade down? How much do you have to weigh?
Yeah, you weigh all that, but I think you also have to weigh what else is on the board. At that position, that's a position we wanted to address. So, like I said, not giving you every detail about our draft board looks like, but linebackers that play in this defense that are really very, very good natural fits, there's only a couple every year. So, you wait a year, you don't get one. You might not get him next year. You might not get him the year after. So this guy was a guy that we had targeted, I'd say, early on. I'd say as early as October.
So what is it exactly that
Yeah.
you look at?
Yeah. Versatility, body type. We like thick-built linebackers. Really thick guys that can kind of take on blocks, but then when they play on the edge, they have enough playing strength and enough arm length to set the edge, like where Kennard plays. You can go out there and against a good tight end, hold the edge of the defense, which is crucially important. And then you see him play off the ball. You play him like JD or Christian, and that's the versatility. I think he's 6'2.5". He's about 250. I think his wingspan is as tall as big as some of the guys that are like 6'4" and 6'5". If I remember correctly, I think he has an 82 or 83 inch wingspan, which is pretty rare for that position. He's got a really wide back. His arms are of average or to above average length. So it's just something these guys are hard to find, and really felt fortunate to be able to get them because, like I said, there was some interest in and around our picks that we were getting pretty nervous there for a few picks.
Was he able to test at his pro day?
Yeah, he did everything. It was late. It was like the first week in April, I think. Yeah, he actually had 2 pro days. He had one that he did a portion of it at the UCLA pro day, and then he finished up the rest of the testing, I think at his high school, if I remember correctly, about a week after that.
To follow, you said a couple times that you were worried you might not be there.
Yeah.
You mentioned yesterday you might consider going up. Did you have any conversations either direction, I guess, at that pick?
With the pick that we took, Jahlani?
Yeah,
we had a couple conversations, but ultimately we decided just to stay put and just kind of wait it out. There was a couple guys at different positions that we felt good about at the position where we took Jahlani. So if it wasn't going to be him, it was going to be another guy we felt really good about. There was a couple guys when we started the day like, all right, we got a group of about 4 here, and I think we were picking, at 11th pick today. So we felt really good that one of those 3 or 4 guys would be there.
I know you go
Yeah.
very thorough through those situations.
Yep.
How did you weigh that in your overall evaluation?
Yeah, we waited, especially, and I think that's part of the reason we brought him in for the visit. Everybody in the building sat down with him. He told the same exact story that he told us at the combine. So it was very consistent from point A to point B, and he made a mistake. It was a. You guys read the articles, you know what it was. I think a lot of people in this room would have stepped in and tried to do the right thing as well. So it was unfortunate. He made a mistake, and we are totally fine with him character-wise, 1,000%.
When you say you get nervous that other people were interested maybe in them, how do you gauge that interest? You're getting phone calls, or how do you know other people are?
So I think I went through this, I don't know sure if it was last year or the year before, about our pro scouting department does a very in-depth analysis of the team needs of other teams and who they visit, who they worked out individually. I mean, the power of Twitter, as you guys know, is pretty incredible. So you can type in someone's name and you can see what beat writers from other cities say about, oh, this guy visited, this guy did a 30 visit, this guy had a private workout with a head coach, this guy had this guy had that. And so we put that all into a book, and we have it by two sections. We have it by team, and then we have it by player. And so we can pull up, all right, Jahlani, who did he visit with? Who did he work out with? Okay, well, does that add up to a team that has that need? Do they need a big linebacker? Does that fit their system? Yes or no? And then you kind of just weigh that. It's not an exact science. You're going to have to go by gut feel. No one's calling you saying, this is my guy. Neither am I. But it's analysis that we go through, and we study about I'd say 4 or 5 days before the draft. We sit down and have an extensive hour, 3 or 4 hour meeting about every team and who they like and what their needs are. So we study it pretty closely.
Paul or anyone at Boston College that you know say anything in particular that sold you, or maybe the rest of the war room about Will in particular that you remember?
Yeah, his leadership ability, his football love for football. This guy's a passionate football guy. I remember going to practice, and like I said, I know a bunch of staff members just for honestly probably 15 or 20 years, and you go there, and Boston College had a pretty good list of prospects this year, so there was a lot of guys to talk through, including guys that were probably a little bit more bigger, I'd say, names. One guy went in the first round. Zach Allen went today. Really, the first guy that a lot of guys mentioned to me was this guy. This guy's like the heartbeat of our team. Not those other guys were bad; they weren't, because they have a lot of good football players and a lot of good leaders. But this guy was voted captain on that team, on that defense. So that spoke volumes to me.
Obviously, you just lost one of your leaders in Glover Quinn,
Yep.
Similar position, and
Yep.
he was basically the same size as well. Do you see similarities between those two, or did
No.
you see them kind of differently?
A little bit different. I'd say a little bit different skill set. Will's a little bit bigger, I think, a little bit taller. He ran a little faster. Glover was a kind of a combo corner safety when he came out of New Mexico State a long time ago, 10, 12 years ago. This guy's been a safety his entire career. So their body types, when you meet Will, he's a little bit taller, a little bit longer player. Glover kind of grew into his safety body over the course of his career. So I'd say it's a different kind of player. Similar in terms of leadership and all that other stuff, but the body type's a little different.
You've really been loading up in that defensive back room. You've got a lot of different types of guys. When I guess we think of multiple defenses, we think of the front a lot, but are you also looking at it in the back end that way, where you've got a lot of different matchup pieces you can kind of change in and out depending on your opponents?
Yeah, I think that's something that is definitely part of the equation. It's about having different types of skill sets in the secondary with the outside corners that when you build the roster, like you can only have a certain number of guys that just do one thing. Like the guy's an outside corner, then that's great. He's got to be a really good outside corner because position versatility when it comes down to picking your 46-man roster is hard because you got to be able to back up multiple positions, just like the offensive line. You bring 7 to the game, well, they'd be able to back up center, guard, and maybe tackle. Same thing with secondary. So you got to have guys with position flex. They can play strong safety, they can play free safety, they can cover tight end. Something happens, they have to go out and play corner. At least the guy runs 4-3-7. You can go out there and kind of run with those guys. So that's something we definitely take into account for sure.
Special teams played to factor into those 2 picks today?
Yeah, pretty high amount. I'd say probably more so for Will just by the position that he plays. Jahlani can definitely do it, and he will do it. You'll see him out there. But I think Jahlani was like a 4-year starter. He didn't play as much special teams at Hawaii as Will did. You can pull up Will's special teams plays from his sophomore and junior year, and there's some really good stuff on there. There's just less to go off of on Jahlani because he hasn't played as much. But his skill set, his tackling, his instincts, all that stuff would project to me that he's going to be a good special teams player as well. So, you guys good?
Guys.